While Marvin Gaye's professional life was full of numerous accomplishments, such as platinum albums, #1 hits, and an abundance of loyal fans, his personal life left a lot to be desired, especially when it came to his father. Their relationship was always volatile, right from the start. Little did Marvin realize the man who gave him life would also take it away, under the most tragic of circumstances. Marvin Pence Gaye Jr. was born on April 2, 1939 in Washington, D.C. His mother, Alberta, was a domestic worker, and his father, Marvin Sr., was a preacher at a Hebrew Pentecostal church, as well as a member of the strict House of God Christian sect, which banned sleeveless dresses, open-toed shoes, makeup, films, and TV. When Marvin Sr. married 20-year-old Alberta in 1935, she was already a young mom, but refusing to bring up another man's child, he forced her to send her son Michael to live with her sister. The couple then went on to have 4 children together, 2 daughters and 2 sons. Marvin was the second oldest. Marvin Sr. kept strictly to his moral code and ensured his children did too. Despite his rigid religious beliefs, Marvin Sr. was an excessive drinker and womanizer who had countless extramarital affairs and fathered a child with another woman behind Alberta's back. He also loved wearing women's clothes and shoes. Marvin's mother spoke out a number of times about the harbored animosity Marvin Sr. held for his eldest boy since the day he was born. "My husband never wanted Marvin, and he never liked him. For some reason, he didn't love Marvin, and what's worse, he didn't want me to love Marvin either. Marvin wasn't very old before he understood that." Marvin's vocal ability was first put on display at the age of 4 singing in church. Throughout his childhood, he often found peace in music, mastering the piano and drums at a young age. Until high school, his singing experience was limited to church revivals, but soon he developed a love for R&B and doo-wop that would set the foundation for his career. According to biography Trouble Man by Steve Turner, Marvin, as well as his siblings, suffered great emotional and physical abuse at the hands of their father. Marvin Sr. was described as a strict parent to his children. According to his kids, he would make them observe an extended Sabbath every Saturday. He was against the Christian tradition of attending church on Sundays. He also would question his kids on Bible passages and would beat them if they answered wrong. He also withheld food from them, claiming their hunger would bring them closer to God. Marvin Jr. reportedly suffered the worst of his punishments. At 17, Marvin ran away from home and joined the U.S. Air Force, but after a few months, he faked mental illness to get discharged. On his return to Washington, he joined a vocal group and began getting work as a backing singer before signing with Tamla in 1960, Berry Gordy Jr.'s label that would become incorporated as Motown, home of the Supremes, Stevie Wonder, and Smokey Robinson. At the same time, he added an E to his original surname to shut down any speculation about his sexuality and to distance himself from his abusive father. As far as his namesake was concerned, the older Marvin hated his son for being so attractive to women, according to Marvin's ex-wife Janice. But the relationship worsened as his son's phenomenal professional success grew, with mega hits like Heard It Through the Grapevine, What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing. Marvin Sr. resented his son's success. In an interview with A&E True Crime, author Steve Turner said, "He fancied himself as a prophet and message giver, and then Marvin became hailed as a voice of his generation, and yet Marvin wasn't living a godly life. That seemed so unfair to Reverend Gaye. Also, Marvin was very close to his mother." As an adult, Marvin led a glamorous but troubled life. His beloved duet partner Tammy Terrell collapsed in his arms on stage in 1967. She would pass away 2 years later of a malignant brain tumor. Since they were so close, a crushing depression then ensued. When stardom brought pressure to continue churning out hits, he developed a devastating cocaine addiction, became cruel to those closest to him, and eventually became destitute, owing money to 2 ex-wives and to the IRS. Marvin married Berry Gordy's sister Anna in June 1963. The couple separated 10 years later. She filed for divorce 2 years after that, and it became official in 1977. He later married for the second time that October to Janice Hunter, the same woman responsible for breaking up his first marriage when it was revealed that he was having an affair with her. And oh yeah, it began when she was only 17. The marriage ended after 2 years when his abuse turned physical. According to Jet magazine, Marvin owed the government about $6 million. Not surprisingly, he moved back in with his parents in 1983. That decision would prove fatal. In the days just before his death, his parents had argued over a misplaced insurance policy letter. The day before his death, the arguments had spread to Marvin's bedroom. Angered by his father shouting at his mother, Marvin told him to leave her alone. At around 12:30 p.m. on April 1st, 1984, Marvin Sr. shouted at his wife about the document. Marvin, dressed in a bathrobe, shouted back downstairs, telling his father if he had something to say, he should do it in person. According to Alberta, when Marvin Sr. refused, his son warned him not to come to his room. However, his father did charge upstairs to the bedroom to shout at his wife, causing Marvin to jump out of his bed. When ordering him to leave didn't work, Marvin is said to have shoved his father out of the room and began to kick and punch him. Minutes after being separated, Marvin Sr. entered his bedroom and returned with a .38 caliber pistol Marvin had bought him, pointed the gun at his son, and shot him in the chest. Marvin Sr. then walked closer and fired a second shot point blank through his son's shoulder. Marvin Jr. was pronounced dead at California Hospital Medical Center. Marvin's brother Frankie, who lived next door and who held the singer during his final minutes, later wrote in his memoir that Marvin's final words were, "I got what I wanted. I couldn't do it myself, so I made him do it." No doubt alluding to the many years he battled with severe depression. According to several U.S. studies, most filicide, when parents kill their children, occurs when children are young. When an adult child is killed by a parent, the father bears responsibility nearly 80% of the time. While maternal filicide often has its roots in psychosocial stress and a lack of family or community support, paternal filicide is more likely to be connected to anger and jealousy. It's also more likely to be very violent, involving a firearm, stabbing, or head injury. Marvin Sr. pleaded no contest and claimed self-defense. While he did admit that he fired the gun, he said he thought it was loaded with blanks or BBs. Marvin was the father of 3 children, Marvin III, Nona, and Frankie. Marvin III was actually the biological son of Anna's niece, Denise Gordy, who was 16 at the time of the birth. Anna faked a pregnancy and the couple adopted her son to avoid a scandal. Nona and Frankie were born to Marvin's second wife, Janice. At the time of his death, he was survived by his 3 children, parents, and 5 siblings. After the funeral, Marvin's body was cremated at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Hollywood Hills, and his ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean. Marvin Sr. was initially charged with first-degree murder, but the charges were reduced to voluntary manslaughter following a diagnosis of a brain tumor. He was ultimately given a suspended 6-year sentence and 5 years probation. He tearfully told the court, "If I could bring him back, I would. I was afraid of him. I thought I was going to get hurt. I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm really sorry for everything that happened. I loved him. I wish he could step through this door right now. I'm paying the price now." Eventually, health issues forced Marvin Sr. to move to a nursing home. He died of pneumonia on October 10, 1999, 9 days after his 84th birthday. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted Marvin 3 years after his death in 1987, gave him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1990, and posthumously awarded him the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1996. He holds high-ranking positions on the 100 Greatest Artists of All Time and the 100 Greatest Singers of All Times list by Rolling Stone. 4 of his songs, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing, also made it on their list of the 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. In the Music Magazine's most recently updated list, done in 2023, of the 500 greatest albums of all time, Marvin's 1971 effort, What's Going On, came in at number 1.